in the midst of the debacle that cryptocurrency is experiencing, the FTS problem, the Luna saga, and all that, one cannot dispute that decentralization, smart contracts, blockchains, decentralized exchanges, and these stuffs are actually working. In today's video, we'll take it further as we explore a project that takes decentralization to the next level by leveraging Ethereum staking. So you might be wondering, is this liquid staking? No, this is not liquid staking. We'll get to it. So the first thing you have to understand is BTC. BTC, at the core level, we have a group of miners who does their job, and then we have the consensus layer, and then you have the payments. Now these guys do what they do very well. BTC has a lot of miners that are distributed around the world. But if you wanted to build something, before Ethereum came, we had the likes of Namecoin. That was helping with DNS, domain name service. We had the likes of Peercoin, Colorcoin, and many things. You had to build each project for each blockchain, for each network, and that was a very, very bad one until Ethereum came. So Ethereum came, had miners before it transitioned to stakers, and then these stakers, there is a consensus, there is a programming layer. So we have the EVM, a programming layer, and then you can do all manner of stuff with it. Now, here is our initial challenge. For the challenge of BTC, BTC has trust with its miners. But when you want to build this, you have to bootstrap trust from different people. Now, in the case of Ethereum, Ethereum serves as a trust layer. So you have Ethereum stakers. You can come and deploy your decentralized application easily, and then you are relying on the trust of Ethereum, and it's good to go. Now, but the future we are actually leaning to is, for example, if you are building a dApp, let's talk about the component of a dApp. So this is your dApp, for example, decentralized application. So it's like a normal application. There is the back end, and there is the front end, and then we'll have things like API services you'll be using, and other services. And then you also talk about things like oracles. Maybe your app will need oracles. Your app will need a service to index data. So we'll have something like the graph, and then many other services. So even if your app, your dApp is deployed, this is your dApp now. Your dApp is sitting on the EVM. Now you can trust the EVM, but you cannot trust the different components that your dApp is using. So the question is, the price feeds you're getting from the Chainlink Oracle, how do you satisfy that it's actually trustworthy? That is another thing. And then for services like this, if you check Chainlink now, they have their staking program. The graph, they have their own stakers, which they call the indexers. And then just let's take, for example, your dApp will need, let's say, 100 different components and all that. Maybe it will need a storage component, it will need a this component, it will need a that component. So it will have to require 100 different, that's what they call middleware. So this middleware, you cannot actually trust them. And that leads us to the project we're talking about today, which is Eigenlayer. So what Eigenlayer is actually talking about is the issue of borrowing trust from an existing network. So we talk about the case of BTC. So we said that when you had BTC, BTC was good for payment and as a store of value, right? Now, when people wanted to build things like naming services, we have DNS like Namecoin. You could not borrow the army of miners to come and help with securing the network here. But we talk about the case of Ethereum. You can deploy your dApp on Ethereum and rely on the trust of Ethereum. Now, but we said that this dApp will need certain services called middleware, and then we need a form of middleware to come in and help. Now, one of the challenges you have to understand is Ethereum, for example, offers what they call block space. So block space has to do with ordering and then execution. Ordering is what transaction came in first and what ought to be processed first. Execution is basically executing it. It's like, okay, everybody's coming to submit a file, you submit your file, and then we process the file. That is ordering and execution. And but one of the things you have to understand is these stakers or miners, most of the times, they don't actually make use of all their resources. So we have a block limit most of the times. Let's take, for example, there is a miner in Asia, or a staker in Asia, and then there's another staker in Africa. Now, we design a network that accommodates everybody, Asia, South America, Africa. So, because we design the system, somebody in Africa can opt into the network. Now, maybe the person is using, let's say, 30 gigabytes of whatsoever resource. And then this person in Asia has a resource of, let's say, 30,000 gigabytes. Now, because the network requires only 30 gigabytes, we see that there is an excess here that is not being utilized. So there is underutilization of resources, which these stakers can deploy to a network like the Eigenlayer. Now, another issue is a microeconomic problem. Economic problem. Now, this is where it is. Now, it requires you that you have to stake 32 Ether for you to be a validator on the Ethereum network. Now, let's use another network. Let's say network X. So, network X, you are required to buy S tokens, or let's say wide number of tokens to be a validator on the network. Now, the issue is you buy Y tokens of X to stake. Now, the more people buy these tokens, you will say that the price will go up. So people buy more tokens and then they lock these tokens. So you buy more and then you lock them. So what is especially, so these things are taken out of the supply and then the price will go up. Now, the question is, if you put a graph of time, if you say the number of people that are buying tokens versus the amount of time, what makes you feel that the people that will keep buying the tokens will be going up? Because the more people buy, the more they lock the tokens and the more the price will go up. So you cannot really say, because let's say this is at the starting point, this is after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and the rest of them. Now, what makes you think that as the price is going up, the people will still be buying, and then now there's a point where as the price gets increasing. So maybe, for example, the number of tokens X is 32, and maybe after the first month, it just costs, let's say, 100 to buy one. You have now just 30,200. Now let's take, for example, after another time, this stuff has shot up to, let's say, 200, and then the thing goes to 220. After another time, 250, and it's increased. So you see that after some time, people just feel like we've missed the train. What is the next network that we can actually buy their tokens and stake? So, and then when you come to a scenario like this, the price that was going up before may not go up. So in cases like this, we have if you are operating a validator, there are two costs you have. We have the validation cost, and then we have the operational cost. So the validation cost is how much you want to be a validator. You need tokens. So what is the minimum you need to have? Let's say X amount, right? So of which, even if it's 100 you need, the price of that token may go up and down. So let's say, for example, the price of the token is let's say 200 today when you came in. Now the cost of your operation is most of the times is fixed most of the times, because we are dealing with like when we buy servers, we can buy servers for like 6 months. The price is predictable. It's not like something that goes up and down. So now let's say, for example, the cost it would take to run this server is like maybe $1,000 after 1 year. Now the question is, your tokens that are worth 200 at, so in the course of 1 year, your tokens are, let's say, 0 to 12 months now. So today they will be worth $200. Now there are risk reward apart from the staking reward you will get. Your token may deplete to be something like 50, let's say $500. It may go up $500, or if you are unlucky, it can remain the same, or it can go down to, let's say, $50. So in cases like this, you have lost that. So that is the problem, and this stuff will only happen because more and more tokens are being more and more staking stuff are being brought to the fore. Now quickly, let's talk about the Eigenlayer, what it does. So what Eigenlayer is actually trying to talk about is borrowing. Now we said that this is the EVM. The EVM supplies trust to the dApp, because at this level we have the stakers, right? The stakers. So those who stake, they supply trust. The dApps, they consume trust. So these are trust suppliers, these are trust consumers. Now, rather than just put it at the EVM level, what we are saying, let's take this thing a little higher. So if you are a staker on the Ethereum network, for example, because Eigenlayer is being deployed in Ethereum, you can simply take your stake and put it under additional risk for reward. So there is the risk, and then you put it for reward. Now here's what we're talking about. You say, I have 32 ETH. We're talking about the resource problem. So let's say, for example, 30 gigabytes, and then this is the minimum that was required, but your resource is 3000 gigabytes. Talk about storage, and then we can also talk about other parameters like the network speed and all that. So there's underutilization of your resources, right? And then you see that there's a new network that you can leverage your trust to. If you compare the risk, say, okay, there's a contract from the Eigenlayer that connects to the Ethereum network, to the EVM, that says I'm subjecting my 32 ETH that I staked to be validating on Ethereum. Now, if you do something malicious on Ethereum, you get slashed. But now you are saying I'm subjecting my stuff to additional risk in order to get reward. Now you might be saying, oh, maybe there's a conception of mesh mining. Mesh mining solves this. No, here is the concept of mesh mining. Mesh mining is saying we have the network like BTC, and then this is your network. You are saying that the miners here should, as they are validating blocks, this is your chain, they should also be validating blocks as they are validating blocks on BTC, they should also be validating blocks on your chain. Now the problem with mesh mining is this: there is nothing at stake. So it's called the nothing at stake problem. Nothing at stake problem. You know, it's just common with humans. If people don't have anything at stake, they want to do anything and then they'll get away with it. But when you have something, now if the miner is malicious and they mines blocks and let's say overrides your chain, you don't even know where their farm is. You don't even know where their mining rigs are to go, and you want to say you want to burn down their GPU minings and their ASIC and all that. So they can do whatever they want to do and get away with it. But in the case of Eigenlayer, they put their 32 ETH at stake, not just their mining machines. And when they do something wrong, they will get slashing. So they will be punished. So in the case of Eigenlayer, you might be saying, what are the use cases for something like Eigenlayer? Many use cases. So I was talking about the dApp stuff. That dApp relies on middleware. So middleware is like we'll talk about Chainlink for price oracles. Talk about the graph for indexing of data services, and then many other stuff. These middlewares can leverage Chainlink. Now it's similar to, you might be asking, is this similar to something like Polkadot parachains? So here you have, this is Polkadot, and then you have parachains that are leveraging, that are connected to it. Now it's similar in some ways because these parachains will have to lock tokens to be able to secure the slot. But this is a different thing entirely, because in the case of Polkadot parachains, the stakers, they don't, the stakers on the Polkadot network, they don't get mining rewards, or let's say staking rewards or validator rewards for validating the blocks on the Polkadot. What they just get is the normal dot tokens for validating. So they don't get, so if this is token X, Y, Z, they don't get dot tokens and X, Y, Z for actually validating blocks on this network. So that is a different thing. So this is a very different thing. Now, in the case, you might be saying, okay, is this similar to the interchain security that is being built by Atom? Well, it's a little bit similar, because in this case, the validators on the Cosmos network, when they validate XYZ chain, they get XYZ tokens, and you as a staker also get those tokens. So you might be asking, what can be built with these services? This service, once you understand what it does, is to take trust. So the whole world of the Eigenlayer is trust. It's called the supply of trust. Take this Ethereum. So we're trying to build a huge industry. This is unlike liquid staking. Liquid staking is taking the finance side, that okay, you've staked your tokens and they are locked now, you can't do anything with it. Now let's see where you can have a derivative of it and then exploit it and borrow this and now, this one is this is like finance side of staking. That's called liquid staking. This case, we're talking about taking your stake and bringing security against it with other chains. So the use cases of things like this, you can build data availability layers. That's a very big problem. You can build sequencers. You can use it to build new blockchains. Now, someone might say, maybe the reason you have things like Solana, Avalanche, they will have their own EVM. Now, if you have a consensus or an EVM that is different from what Ethereum is using, you cannot deploy it on Ethereum or BTC. You have to go and build your own chain. Now, building your own chain is what the problem here is called the bootstrapping problem. Let me clean the board so that you actually understand this stuff, to understand what we're talking about. Now, if the when you build a new network, for example, so this is a new network. let's say two cases, new network. Now there is network A, and then there is network B. So let's take for example that network A decides to go the route of bootstrapping its network. My board is wet. So let's say network A decides to go its own network. So network A bootstrap its own network. Do you know the hassle of getting validators who will validate on your network? Now, in the case of Cosmos, they have to have high APR so that, because it's a new token. I was talking about the case, you starting with $200, and in the case maybe your token going down after some months, maybe $50. When you're bootstrapping your own network, you have to convince validators to stake on your network. Now, it's more easier in a network to see people at the testnet stage, because they will get testnet tokens because they just run the server, and there is no there's nothing they put at stake. You are the ones that will give them test tokens, and these test tokens have no value. So you can see in a case 20,000 people apply as validators to actually stake on your network and test this stuff. Now, but when it comes to mainnet, when they know that they will put and have to buy tokens to be a validator on your network, you will, if at the testnet you saw 20,000 people, when the token comes now, then they say you have to buy tokens, irrespective of the amount, you will rarely see 200 people who will be able to buy these tokens. Why? Yeah, they just bought a server maybe for less than $100. You give them the tokens, and then what they are getting at the end of the day maybe depends. They could get between $2,000 to $10,000 as rewards for spending just $100. Now, but now you are saying they should spend $10,000 here and buy your token and stake. It's a new token. Nobody wants to go and take those risks. So that is a very big problem. Now, but in this case, if you are leveraging Eigenlayer, you just come in, you plug into the validators here. Now, that is one. The next problem is the security problem. Because, yeah, in this case, the people are not willing to commit their resources. So you see very few people who are willing to buy these tokens to come in. So let's take, for example, the cost of buying the tokens to stake on this network is $10,000. So we are saying is 10,000. So let's take, for example, there are 200 stakers on the network times 200. So if we do the math, that is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that's like $20 million. So you want to ask yourself, can somebody deploy now? And this is the consensus rules. If a person can get above 51%, they will overrun your chain. So meaning if a person buys tokens that are just worth, let's say, $12 million, they've override your chain. They can vote through governance and override your chain and do all manner of things, and you are kicked out. So when you leverage a network like this, but let's say in this case 32 Ether, the person, how much is 32 Ether? Ether is like 32, let's say Ether is $8,000. That's $32,000. Now let's assume that there are 200 stakers on your network. 200 times this, you will see the amount. Now, apart from that, if these people dare to do something, what they will lose is that it's Twitter. So who wants to do that? So you see the risk is so much high. So that's what the Eigenlayer is bringing. It's what they are doing is called restaking. It's a restaking collective. So you as a validator, you can come in, pull in, and opt in for as many services as possible with your 32 ETH. So it's going to be a very, very big service. Liquid staking has had its day. It's not going anywhere soon, but the next collective now is taking additional stake, taking additional risk for additional reward, and that is what the Eigenlayer is seeking to do. So I hope you found this video very enlightening. Thank you very much for stopping by.